here is the new seminar that will be presented by Miguel Ángel Pérez Torre. He's from the house. He is a científico titular from 2009, and his main work is in radio interferometry. So he will talk about these new results about these objects. Thank you, Miguel.
Thanks for the introduction. And if this works. Okay. Also, thank you very much for attending the talk. With what I'm going to present today is a summary of some results that we published a few months ago. And basically is we reported the discovery for the first time of resolved imaging of a tidal disruption event jet, or that's what we think we found. And basically we solved this puzzle because for many years the story goes back to 2008, and after 10 years we published the result. Of course, meanwhile we also did some additional work to, yeah, of course we didn't just stay waiting for this, and it came as a surprise. So it's a pleasure to share with you these surprises that now and then happen in the sky. So let's start by a standard picture of what is a jet in an AGN. What we see here is a jet. You see the two sides of the jet, so it's actually two jets coming in opposite directions. And we have in the AGN at the center, which is surrounded by a accretion disk and a torus. Okay, so that's what we see here. And there has been a lot of modeling. This is recent results from Chekhovsky and collaborators, where basically they tried to figure out what is the effect of the black hole spin in the way that this jet goes, whether it precesses, which can change orientation or not. Well, the basic result is that the main thing here is the accretion disk. The black hole, the jets do not care much about the black hole spin. Okay, that's an important thing, as you will see later on. So basically, the jet goes perpendicular. Standard wisdom, perpendicular to the accretion disk or to this torus, okay, that surrounds the AGN. Okay, now we have a different kind of jets that can be, well, that was, you will see in a minute, that back to the 70s and 80s, the idea that in the centers of the galaxies where there is lurking a supermassive black hole, if a star, a hapless star, passes close to the supermassive black hole, it could be disrupted, hence the name tidal disruption event. And here what you see is one of these stars that as it approaches, it becomes to be, elongated and elongated, and as some material goes into towards the black hole, the rest just doesn't go. So as I said, back in the 70s there were pioneering works by Hills, and in the 80s actually the first real paper that opens the field is a paper by Martin Rees. It's a very nice paper, 1988, published in Nature. So you go downstairs to the library where no one goes anymore, and look for the paper, because of course Nature hasn't been so kind as to make this PDF available. So you have to do the photocopy and get it. That's what I did, to read the paper. Otherwise you cannot read it, or you pay a certain amount of dollars. Okay, so this is the usual why slide. Why do we care about TDEs? Before I jump into the story, there are a number of reasons. So one of them is actually probing the formation of the jet, of relativistic jets. That's the main purpose of the talk. But we can also probe the occasional scenarios. There are phases where there is super Eddington emission. We can also wonder, well, where do these TDEs happen? Are they happening more often in normal galaxies or in galaxy mergers or not? And eventually also feedback, as you will see later. So there are a number of reasons. As a background, let me just tell you that what we have here is the play between the self-gravity of a star, the star that goes close to the supermassive black hole, and the tidal force from the supermassive black hole. So it's basically that's the fact that the star cannot be assumed to be just a point-like source, that the supermassive black hole really pulls stronger the closest side of the star than the farther side, makes that big difference, and eventually can fall in. So if the tidal radius, you see here, the tidal radius, that's basically the main reference distance, depends on the mass of the supermassive black hole and the radius and the mass of the star. Okay? What happens? Well, if the star passes too close, then it becomes trapped by it. Okay? But then there is a catch here, very important. If the supermassive black hole is very supermassive, so more than 100 million solar masses, basically there will be no electromagnetic counterpart. Okay? Because what happens is that this the event, the radius inside the relevant distance here goes below the event horizon. So we will not see any electromagnetic signal. Okay? So we have a very supermassive black hole. We don't see a TDE flare. Okay? The star just gets devoured completely, but there is nothing that goes out. We cannot just see it. That's really important. Now, if on the other hand the supermassive black hole is much less massive than, say, 1 million, like our galactic center black hole, if it's below 1 million solar masses, then the event will be so dim that it will be essentially undetectable. Okay? It will happen, but we won't see much. We won't see anything. So there is a sweet spot between 10 to the 6 and 10 to the 7, a few times 10 to the 7 solar masses, when those events really result into a flare that we can detect. Okay? There is, as you can see here, a fallback time. So basically the star passes very close, but and then half of the star essentially just goes away. The other half starts to fall. So there's a fallback time, which depends also on the black hole mass, but it can last from a few days to a few months. Okay, so it's quite rapid, but it's not instantaneous. It doesn't happen in a few minutes. It takes a lot of time. And well, the final thing that for you to remember is that the expected rates of these events is something like 10 to the -4 to 10 to the -5, or even 10 to the -6 events per galaxy per year. Okay, so we definitely need many galaxies to really find just one event. So in the past, well, as I said, first there was a theoretical prediction, and only in the 90s there was the first evidence for candidates, tidal disruption events that were considered candidates. And I haven't seen this, I haven't shown this, but there is a clear expectation from the theory that these lines here, you see time since the disruption in days and the magnitude in the near ultraviolet, and you see that the lines, the decline, is quite consistent with this 5 to the -5/3. This is a prediction of theory, and that has been considered for many years like the standard prediction. And if we see something that falls following this law, we have a TDE, and of course, if it happens in the center of a galaxy. Okay, well, that's also very, very good, but there are some tension. There are apparently many less detected objects in space. So what could be happening? Is maybe the theory wrong? What are we missing here in the picture? In 2011, there was published this very nice paper by Giannios and Metzger. Those guys just made a very simple but nice theory, where basically if there is just a small fraction of energy from this star that goes towards the supermassive black hole that is funneled into a relativistic jet, we should expect to see some synchrotron emission as a jet. And well, the time scales will be from 1 year to a few years. So actually, there was an expectation to actually detect these jets, even if we don't catch the event right in the first days or in the first few months. So that's actually one of the motivations for our talk. There has been a number of candidates, as I said. Some of them have been considered to show a relativistic jet from indirect evidence. what does it mean, the indirect evidence? We don't see the jet. We just see a huge and a very super Eddington luminosity in X-rays or even in gamma rays. And then people say, okay, this is so high. The only explanation is that I have a jet, a relativistic jet. But maybe you can, theorists like to come up with other explanations. You could think some theories could come up with some alternative explanation for that. But actually there is this case, gamma ray transient Swift SWJ 1644 plus 57 is very famous. It's probably the best TD candidate, the best monitor TD candidate. And well, people suggested clearly that because of this huge gamma ray and X-ray luminosity, it should have shown a relativistic jet. But VLBA observations didn't resolve the thing. Okay, it's quite far, so that's probably one of the reasons. And there have been other. I'll skip that one because basically it's the same point. You see here, this is the object, Swift, and you see this is the X-ray luminosity. Is way above the Eddington luminosity. So that's one of the indications. You see that if it was Eddington or Sub-Eddington should have been somewhere here, this dot is way off. So that has been taken as a proof that we have a relativistic jet. But this is not a direct evidence. Yeah. There have been also unresolved observations from other cases. This is another famous one, Assassin 14Li. And the radio observations were interpreted also as being due to, in that case, a jet that we are not seeing directly. It just goes off, okay, of our line of sight. And there have been resolved observations, by the way, by Cristina Romero Cañizales and collaborators. Cristina was a PhD student of Anchon and myself here at the IAA. But actually, it wasn't clear, this scenario. So this is the same case that before, 14Li. Okay, but with resolved imaging, you see here an unresolved image, and then you can see here a second component. So it is not clear. Could be a very superluminal AGA, could be a TDE jet, maybe it's a binary supermassive black hole. Well, things are still uncertain. So, okay, that was a recent result. So now to the story that I wanted to tell you. Well, everything starts with this Moby Dick that I call R299, a galaxy merger. It's 45 megaparsec from us. It has a huge Coccola supernova rate, something like the whole system, which is composed of two merging galaxies, has a Coccola supernova rate of about 2 supernovae per year. And correspondingly, the star formation rate is enormous, something like 150 to 200 solar masses per year. So which